This is a Xenolink data view analysis for Mack Clark. This is for a hockey skate acceleration from dead stop collected in October 2011. We'll begin by looking at the acceleration of the center of mass. What we like to see here is a very distinctive pattern of lull through mid-stance, acceleration through toe off. Lull through mid-stance, acceleration through toe off. Lull through mid-stance, acceleration through toe off. We see the pattern. Pattern's pretty effective. The lull we'd like to see kind of peak out. Like here we see the lull occur right at mid-stance, and here the lull occurs after mid-stance and again on the next gait cycle. So we'd like to see the lull that happens occur right through mid-stance and then get a better burst of speed from mid-stance toe off. So that pattern could be a little bit better, especially in the gait. The initial push-off isn't bad. And you can see the initial push-off, if you look at here, that acceleration is pretty good speed output, and then we kind of drop off from there. So the first two strides lose some speed. We'd really like to see the athlete be at least at 5 meters per second in the first 3 steps. And then from there, we would expect to see then growth upwards of 6 to maybe even 7 meters per second in the first 2 steps. It was a significant amount of acceleration. So we definitely have room for improvement here, both in pattern of acceleration as well as the amount. The next area we'll look at is torso. And what we're looking for here is counter torquing. So the pelvis rotation equal and opposite to some degree with the upper torso. Upper torso may have a little bit more range of motion, but what we're looking for is that counter torquing, and that counter torque produces the ability to swing the leg through. So pull the leg off the ice at toe off and swing it through to then touch the ice at heel strike and push. So the core dynamics are incredibly important to acceleration. In Kenzie's case, we see that she actually has pretty darn good counter torquing going on. So the core dynamic is very good, but it's not producing the speed output that we would expect. So we want to grow or train off of what we already have to improve the outcome. So we've got good core dynamic. We want to continue to improve core dynamic, but we more importantly want to focus on the ability to use core dynamic to accelerate the extremities and create speed more effectively. When we look at knee flexion extension, what we're looking at first is the ability to, what you'll typically see is some extension speed, a lull through mid-stance, an acceleration between mid-stance and toe off, and then going into some flexion. On our initial push-off, the pattern is pretty good. The speeds are a little on the low side. We'd like to see at least 300, upwards of 400 degrees per second of extension speed. And the push-off maybe not quite as high, but certainly as we get into the gait. What's interesting is you'll see that she has a large extension speed as she moves forward to heel strike. There's the lull, but then there's virtually no extension speed on the initial gait cycle on the right side. And then she does pull into flexion fairly well, but very, very little extension speed on the right side. On the left side, then, you see the extension's a little bit early, close to toe off or heel strike. Then you have heel strike here, so she's pulling the knee in already as she gets in the heel strike. Lull through mid-stance, again, a really limited extension. Pulls off the ice pretty well on the left side, but what we're seeing here is a breakdown in pattern, pretty significant breakdown in pattern at the knee, where the extension speed occurs way early prior to heel strike. We don't get the same lull extension acceleration we would expect mid-stance to toe off, although we are getting a pull. The push is almost non-existent, and the pattern is definitely disrupted. So we really want to work on knee. Focus on knee as we work off the core, which is working pretty effectively. We want to focus on knee. The core, that core dynamic is good. That's why we see the pull, but the push is lacking, so we want to work on that at the knee. At the hip, we see, again, that pattern of extension, lull, pretty significant lull, flexion and extension, extension and flexion again. The pattern's pretty effective. The speeds are low, though. We would like to see hip extension, 350, 400 or higher. Here again, we see the extension, the lull coming after mid-stance, which we don't want to see. and then extension occurring right at toe off, peak extension. So the pattern at the hip as well is limited in terms of speed and limited in terms of pattern. So we see push-pull pattern, especially the push at both the knee and the hip, are something that we really want to address in our training. The knee flexion extension range of motion, what we see here is pretty good symmetry and flexion, pretty good range of motion, but probably looking at a little bit of limitation on the right side knee extension. When we look at hip flexion, now on this side we see pretty good symmetry on flexion at the hip, but some limitation on the left side hip. So we've got some range of motion limitation, right side knee and left side hip, to go with a breakdown primarily in knee and hip push, limited speed output, but also breakdown in coordination. So we want to focus on, in our PST, we want to work on building off of a core to build a better push dynamic, improve on the pull dynamic, which is already pretty good, but really work on that push and the patterning of extension, lull, extension, flexion, which is definitely breaking down both at the knee and the hip.